Hello, welcome back to Mart's Garage. I'm continuing to assemble the Flatty, the Spalding Flatty, the French Flatty. I'll just briefly show what I've just done. Basically, I've cleaned and replaced the existing gaskets because these were new when this engine was put together, and they appear to be okay. That gasket is cut to kind of go around the seal there, and the same there. This is a homemade piece. I've experimented with making my own gaskets, so that's a homemade piece. It's quite a good fit. And this oil pump is not the oil pump that was from this engine. I don't know if you remember, but the engine that I call the plodder engine that I had in the sedan, it always had low oil pressure, and the way I fixed it was to fit a French oil pump, and this is that oil pump from that plodder engine, completely untouched, just bolted in. So it'd be interesting to see what oil pressure we get with this engine, with what I would hopefully say is decent bearings with this pump, considering that with this pump in the plodder it was 0 at idle. A couple of little pointers: it's easier to put the gaskets in place before you put the oil pump and the flywheel on. So that's what I've just done. I just put the gaskets in place and I've just put the oil pump in place. So now I'm going to put the flywheel on. Okay, you don't need to see me do that, it's just all standard stuff, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed. I do realise that I didn't really cover the assembly of the crank rods and pistons. Well, you saw me putting the crank in because I had to do some work on the crank there, didn't you? And you've seen me do the end float test, so that's good. I didn't show fitting the rods and pistons. I've shown that numerous times before. The only thing that I had to do different in this engine was first just to go in, you know, with something like this and clean the oil out the bores that I'd put in, and then I went in with this wire wool, steel wool, which took the rust out the bores. So I just went in, and you can hear it go when you first go in, and then it starts to sound smooth as you've took the rust. It was a very light flash rust, so it didn't take much to clean it. So that's what I did with the bores, and then a bit of oil on the pistons and assembled it up. And as usual, this is the front of the engine. So these rods here, you probably can't see because I haven't got the light on the camera, but that's number, what would that be? Hang on, this is the right hand side. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I don't know if you can see. Yeah, I can see a number 4 down there, but the camera is putting it into shadow. 4, and that ought to say a 3 on it. So I haven't put the light on, but you get the idea. And all of the numbers on the rods are on the pan rail side and pointing towards the front, so you shouldn't get them mixed up. Okay, righto. So when I put the, bloody hell, there's bits everywhere, I have to keep picking them out. When I've put the flywheel on, I can put the oil pan on, not before. Okay, righto. I won't bother filming because I'm conscious of making very long videos that I have to edit down. So if it's things I've shown numerous times before, I won't bother showing it again. But I'll bring it back, you know, when I get to the next logical place to bring you back. Okay, back in a bit then. Cheers. These are the crank bolts that I turned down, and these are some bolts that I bought from Rock Auto, which I believe they're used on Chevys and or Fords maybe. And you can see that the heads are quite a bit thinner. So I'm hoping that they should give me that extra clearance that I need for this clutch plate. So yeah, wish me luck. I haven't put any Loctite or anything on them, but I've done them up to 75, which is pretty tight. The flywheel had a lot of rust on it, so I've cleaned it off with that bit of wire wool that I showed you a minute ago. You can see there's still a little bit around there, look. Yeah, so let's keep our fingers crossed that these are okay. I think I'll put the clutch plate on. I'll put the clutch on while I've got it like this. Might as well, because I can rotate it to get the bolts nice and easily accessible, because it can be a bit of a pain getting in that gap there. Okay, but I thought I'd show you those bolts because they might be a bit of a lifesaver. But I will show you one thing that I did. I took this socket and I put it on the lathe and I skimmed the end flat. And then put a little chamfer on it. I didn't want to go onto these with a socket that, you know, has got a big chamfer on it. I wanted to get full engagement right down the full depth of those, the bi-hex there, the 12 sides. So I just thought I'd show you that because that was what I did. And it did fit okay, and it worked okay. Righto, I'll bring you back when there's more to show. Now this is what I'm saying about this. So these bolts that I've captured in there when I took it off. Now, when you come to fit the bolts, they go in nice and easy. Because they're not... I've had it before where you can't even get the bolt to start in the thread. And you have to start them without the washers. Now they're going easy. As I've said it, this one hasn't, but yeah, it's gone in now. Yeah, that's gone in. So I can just tighten those up, and as I tighten them up, these fingers will move in and these bolts will come out. That's loose already. Look. I'll check the torque figure and just set them with a torque wrench. I think it's something like 17 to 20 or something like that. I'll check it. Very often just doing them up like this, you know, you don't realise, but you go with the torque wrench and it's already tight enough. And that's just with a little 1/4 inch drive. Okay, there's my 3 bolts. There you go, 3 bolts, just makes it easy. Okay, I'll stop the camera because I want to look up the torque figures. I always go on Mac Van Pelt's site and just look them up on there. Yep, 17 to 20. I wanted to check because I didn't want to give you any bad gen. Okay, that's just below 20, that is. I don't know if they'll do up or if they'll turn the flywheel. That turned a tiny bit before clicking. Don't know if you notice what I'm doing, but I'm going, I don't know if it makes a difference. I'm going like virtually across the centre. Yeah. So I mean, they're already tight enough just from doing them up with that little ratchet. That's gone a little bit, because I was trying not to do them too tight. Let's try this one if I come over here like this. Yeah, it's just the same. Yeah, they just went a tiny little bit. Okay, that's certainly a lot easier than doing it with the oil pan on. Okay, This is handy. I sometimes use a cut down input shaft, or just an input shaft if you know. Okay, let's put the oil pan on. I've cleaned it all up, and the other thing I did, you might not be able to see it, I've just took a little bit off the gasket there where that passageway is. Okay, as far as I can see, it's ready to go on. Alright, I might as well just leave the camera running and then speed it up, eh? That one there and that one there are important because they're pulling that pan down onto that seal. Okay, look, I ain't proud of this, but I'm going to put it back on with the existing head gasket. All these little bits here that are stuck to here are missing from there, so in theory it should just be able to go back on and it'll still be just like it was. The head gasket is actually stuck to the head, so I'm not going to disturb it. I'm just going to put it back on. And let's just do it as an experiment and see what happens. That's the good thing about these ones with the French ones, because they've got the hole there for the, you know, helps you put the head on easy. Bed it in. Bear in mind this was a running engine, so I'm just going to put it back together exactly as it was. Putting these in just, you know, to block the holes up. Although I'll probably run them. Okay. That's that side. I'll torque them obviously. But interestingly enough, I looked at the French military workshop manual, and it did show a different order to tighten them than what you just achieve, what you do normally. I've kind of got my own method that is similar to the French one actually. although I saw the French one after I'd adopted my method. My method is these 6, these 4, these 4, these 5, these 5, and what you do, you count like 6, 4, 4, 5, 5, and when you count the 5, you it tends to help you remember these ones here. If I can find the image of the French one, I'll just drop it in here just for you to see, just out of interest. Okay, so there you go. Righto, I'll do the other side. I won't bother filming it because it'll just be a repeat of that, and I'll just speed it up. So I'll stop the camera and do the other side. Right, what should we go for? What should we say? Should we make something up? Let's have a look what Van Pelt says. Back in a sec. Right, that says 65 to 70. I don't tend to use them that tight, I must admit. I'll go 60 on the bolts, I think, and then about 50 on that one there. What did I say? 50 on that one. That one went quite a bit. I wonder if I missed it the first time round. That one went a little bit. Kind of clicked and went. Okay. For anybody interested, this is a Warren and Brown, made in Australia, dual signal torque wrench. Bending beam, model 3220. I bought this for £2 at a Auto Jumble. Very nice piece of equipment. God knows what it was doing in England on a table at an Auto Jumble for £2. Good piece of kit that. Whoops. Well, it was. I've got a couple of little magnets here. I'm going to put them in those areas there in the valley. I bought some new ones, but I couldn't lay my hands on them just then. Okay, I'm looking down all the inlet ports. Nothing down there. This gasket has been modified. It's got a little sort of shield that goes underneath where the PCV valve is. Right, I think that's that way around. I just shook it and I can hear the PCV valve rattling, so that's good. There we are. I'm just giving them a quick visual inspection, because one of the problems you can have when you use that rattle gun is you can over tighten them. And when I put the manifold on, I think the old 59 Flatty, one of the bolts was stretched. And I checked it by holding it against another bolt, and I'll show you kind of what I mean. If you wonder whether the bolt's okay, you hold it against another similar bolt like that, and if it matches all the way along the length of the thread, it's okay. If it rocks like that and doesn't go in, kind of rocks, it means one of them's stretched. And you can use a third bolt to check which one. If I can find a little bit of footage, I'll insert it here from when I did the other engine, because you know, you might find it interesting. Okay, let's get these tightened up then. 9/16. Right, 3 bolts, jumble them up. Right, one of them is one that I believe has started to stretch. If I now, hand on heart, I can't actually see. That one looks okay. That one doesn't look okay. And that one, actually I think that might be the bad one. So what you do, you hold them together like that, and they go together perfectly. Right, they are completely matched thread for thread all the way along the length. Okay, this one, which I kept turning it and it didn't want to torque, doesn't match. Look, see, it matches, it matches, and then I think, well, by the time you get to there, it doesn't match, and it's matched down here, but you have to rock it to get it in up there. In other words, it's stretched. I saw AVE show this, and he showed you winding a nut down and then it didn't want to go on there here, but this is a better way in my view. That bolt is scrap. Okay, so I need to, I'll have to find another bolt. Okay, these two are good. So I'll try not to do them too tight. Right, what's the torque figure? Come on, who knows? Right, I'll have to nip onto my belt again, hang on. 23 to 28. What's the bet in there? Too tight already? I think they are. I think the first ones I did up might be, you know, need a bit of retightening because nice ergonomic action there, Mart. I'm a little bit surprised that they're not too tight. I like this torque wrench, but I do like one with a ratchet because, you know, if you have to take a second bite at it, you can just ratchet it. First world problems, eh? Yeah, good. There we are, okay. Well, there's my socket that I couldn't find. I didn't tell you I was looking for it, but I was looking for that one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and wedge a lever in the ring gear. I think these, I can't remember. I'm not going to use the torque, I'll just tighten it up. I remember looking and not being able to find a torque figure. Okay, ready? That'll do. Oh yeah, I can't put this in before I put that thing in, can I? The drive. Okay, right, let's call it good at that then. Okay, well that can be done up easily enough, can't it? That's just a vacuum pipe. I'm just looking around. All the parts that I've had off this motor have been either on this table or on the other table, and all that's left here is a fuel pump push rod and that tube and various cast off tools, and all that's left on this table are the crank and the bearings, various bearings, and again cast off tools. No nuts and bolts. Well, there are some nuts and bolts. Look, but those are the flywheel bolts that I haven't used, and the studs. So, you know, that should be okay. Just out of interest, this is the bearing from the crank that I took out of that motor. So this must have had a bit of end float on it, mustn't it? I'm not going to measure it now, but I will measure it, and when I do the editing I'll drop in what the figure is. So this is another French crank that had too much end float. And what I think I might do, as soon as these bearings are okay, I might build these up as well. Do another build up job. Okay, this crank will get wrapped up and put in a plastic bag. Yeah, I'm looking at this and I can see how thin that is now. No wonder my crank didn't want to go in. If you haven't seen that one, it's on the previous video or the one before. Righto, so there's the engine looking exactly like it was before, and that's ready to go into a vehicle. I haven't made my mind up which vehicle, but there will be another video, and that video will be this engine being fitted to a vehicle. So make sure you come back and join me for that, and we'll give this one a good run round and see how it does. Okay, thank you very much for joining me then. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then. Bye.